Sacramento, I am going to restore your right, and I am going to protect your liberty.
Dr. Michael Huang, an internist and a family physician in California, has never shut doors to his patients during the pandemic. And now he decided to knock on the door of Sacramento.
We all have that choice. We can basically live like American, or we can get rid of the white strap and paint it all red and put a little yellow star on it.
So why he is convinced that he has to step up and speak out?
When you are afraid to speak, that's when you give up your right that's guaranteed by the Constitution and Bill of Rights.
So who is Dr. Michael Huang?
10 years ago, I probably left centrist. Now I'm right centrist.
Okay.
The Democratic Party has left me a long time ago.
And what he wants to do in Sacramento.
If I do make it to the Senate, and I'm going to bring my superpower with me.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Cathy show. I'm your host, Cathy Zhang. Today we will talk about California politics. I'm excited to bring you a perspective of a physician in California who is running for office this election. You just saw a few clips of his interview. So before we continue to our patrons, we are making efforts to make this show more like a daily show. So Wei and I have decided each will host for a couple of days, which would be shorter version, shorter than usual. And on Friday, we will co-host just as we have been doing for the past 2.5 years. So we'd appreciate your continued support. And if you are new to our channel, welcome, and I hope you would subscribe to our channel. Please also remember to hit the like button, of course, if you do like our show. And throughout the show, I would also love to see your comments. We really appreciate anything you do to help grow our channel. So now back to today's topic. With California's primary right around the corner, which is next Tuesday, June 7th, which is for California, it's the first year that the primary is, so ahead of the time schedule. So the media attention starting to shift to California as expected. But the narratives is mostly about the perceived Democratic strongholds in California's voter basis. However, one of the state Senate districts caught people's attention. However, the legacy media, the mainstream media so-called, is not talking about it a lot. It's the state Senate District 6. The incumbent is Richard Penn, who is an Asian American physician who is very left-leaning. He is termed out. Senator Richard Penn has gotten national attention because of the multiple controversial vaccine bills he authored or co-authored as a key member of the California Legislative Vaccine Work Group. Due to the Bay Area's exodus to the Sacramento rural area, this district, District 6, that Richard Penn used to represent, it has actually expanded quite a bit, almost like a new district, as you can see in the maps. Now, this district is possibly replaced by another, the Senate seat could possibly replaced by another Asian American physician who was a left centrist, but now much more conservative. And his name is Michael Huang. Dr. Huang told me that he decided to run for office after the pandemic. And why is that? He shared his view on California's politics, his critics to both the left-wing Democratic Party and the GOP in California. And he strongly believes in what it's going to take to take back California. Dr. Huang also shared his view on the mass shooting in Texas Uvalde school, which is quite unique. So now, a brief background of Dr. Michael Huang. He's born and raised in Taiwan, immigrated to Canada at the age of 13, 14, then moved to California, Fremont, 3 years later, rather. And Dr. Michael Huang, he graduated from UCLA and the St. George's School of Medicine. He resides now and is practicing as an internist and a family physician in Roseville area, which is near Sacramento. All right, so here's my interview with Dr. Huang. Dr. Huang, you are an internist and a family physician. Why did you decide to run for office?
With the legislations that's coming down, I realize that it's becoming more and more like a socialist state. There's so much rules coming our way, we don't know what to follow, right? They keep on changing their mind. We are not able to practice medicine. We're not able to do our job. We're not able to operate our restaurant and our business without asking permission. And it just reminds me of socialist state. I grew up in Taiwan and immigrated to Canada and US, and my grandparents are from China. And we fought against the communists before, and also with the Japanese during World War II. So we've seen what tyranny is, we've seen what socialism is, and it's becoming more and more like it. And I feel like in the past 2 years, it's almost like going to school that's filled with games. They can make rules and anytime they want. They can take your lunch money anytime they wish. They can injure you any way they like without you having the say-so and having the ability to protect yourself and your friends and your family. So I looked around, and because so many people have moved from the Bay Area to my district up in Northern California by Roseville, by Sacramento. And close to 250,000 people have moved to this area in the past 10 years. So we had a new district, and there's no incumbent. So we need to elect a senator. So I looked at the options, and I was hoping that someone with a leadership skill and have that compassion and that bravery that would speak up and protect our liberty. But I didn't see anyone that has the desire and trait that I wish that they would have to put a stop to all this madness at Sacramento. So I looked around and I felt like, I do have that trait. I do have the ability to be able to think clearly and being able to reason, and I'm not afraid to speak up. And I have helped literally protected thousands and thousands of Californians in the past 2 years and treated them with COVID and protect thousands of jobs. And I see that there's such a huge division, and we really need to stop that. It doesn't matter you're Democrat, it doesn't matter you're Republican. We are all American. We gotta fight this disease together. We gotta be able to keep our community strong and maintain our unity. If you're religious, I think it's very important that you retain that faith. You're gonna love your enemy, right? Not just the people that's on your side. So I felt strongly that we don't have that voice in Senate. We don't have that voice in Sacramento. We don't have that voice of reason. And as you can see, I'm not afraid. I'm willing to speak up for the right things. I'm willing to make that effort to bring both sides together and defend our liberty and defend our freedom and defend our constitutional right. So that's the reason why I decided, hey, I got to do this. I got to run for a state senate.
For you, what would be the priorities? Because right now, in California, high tax, in the public safety, the education, homelessness, affordable housing, a lot of those are on top of people's mind, the problems, issues. So what's your priorities and solution, I know you cannot just address everything, maybe, top 2 or 3.
I think once I make it to California State Senate, it's really going to shake up the political world. I've been told that time and time again by politicians. Actually, I know a lot of senators. They do come to see me as a patient because of what I do. They have nowhere to go for COVID treatments, for COVID injury, vaccine injury, and whatnot. So I know a lot of politicians. And everybody tell me, hey, Mike, you have to run. If you do make it as a Senate, you're really going to shake everybody up.
Are they just Republicans or also Democrats?
Republican and Democrat. I do have a family member that's running for California Assembly, and she's a Democrat.
Oh, okay.
In the Bay Area. Yeah. So my number one priority to get into the state is to get that message that, hey, look at me. I'm not a career politician. You guys may need to pay attention because if you continue this way, you're going to be replaced. 2, we had to put a stop to the politician passing rules and regulations and legislation. There's too many.
You're running as a Republican candidate. Have you always been a Republican? And how the voters in your district are reacting to your campaign?
I'm centrist, depending on, let's say 10 years ago, I probably left centrist. Now I'm right centrist. Right?
Okay.
But the Democratic Party has left me a long time ago. Okay? So initially I was kind of concerned, wow, and I have moved to such a conservative area. But actually the people I've met, everyone I met were extremely nice, extremely supportive. When they look at me, they don't look at me as an Asian. They look at me as American because they can see that I really look at the value of freedom and liberty as being the most important thing. And they had no problem working with me, and I have nothing but tremendous support from the community.
Wow, that's interesting. So you are not the first one, obviously, saying, the Democrat Party left you.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I think there's a saying that when you're 20 years old, if you're not a Democrat, you don't have a heart. When you're 40 and 50 years old, if you're not a Republican, you don't have a brain. Okay.
So you agree with that?
I don't know whether we agree with that or not. I think for anybody that want to live in California, we all have that Democrat spirit in all of us. We all want to, share our wealth. We want everybody to do well. We want to protect our environment. We don't want to throw plastic back in the trash can. We want to recycle. And that's the reason why I want to move to California, right? It's because we want to live in a very beautiful and very nice environment. We don't want to pollute. And we want to find and innovate. We want to make apples. We want to make iPhones. We want to have great technology, right? But now we have carried this to the extreme. So again, we should not let your political preference and party to come into our community to divide us. We should take the positive aspect, the strong point from each party, and make our community better. And that's my goal.
Yeah, so Dr. Huang actually mentioned that during the 3 months of his campaign for California State Senate, he has had a much better understanding of the politics and the politicians in California. So what exactly he saw as a major concern in that regard? And also, why California came from Reagan's red state to nowadays a Democratic supermajority. Whom to blame? Dr. Huang also shared his view on the Texas Uvalde school shooting, which is quite unique.
All the things that we're trying to push has some type of dollar sign assigned to it. If we're really concerned about kids going to college and not get hurt, we need to look at the top 2 reasons why kids can get injured and die. Number 1, accident, injuries, car accident, doing something silly when they're drunk. Number 2, suicide. Have you seen any legislature bills, any politician talk about these two things, accident and suicide, to protect our young people? Never, right? It's all about vaccine, it's all about medicine, it's all about something that has a dollar sign that can assign and make someone else rich. Talking about prevention, talking about injury prevention, talking about helping young people not feel so lonely, talking about maybe instill faith into the young people's life, instill patriotism, instill a sense of community that can reduce loneliness and feel a sense of belonging. It doesn't make any money. That's why people don't talk about it. If you look at Uvalde, Texas, with public school shooting, it's really, really devastating. And some politicians use this as a chance to push their political agenda, it's absolutely wrong. I think as a physician, my superpower is to always try to find a root cause of an issue, a root cause of disease. And when I look at public school shooting in the United States, a lot of people say, oh, the guns are an issue. Well, America has a Second Amendment. There's a reason why it's there. We cannot undo that. But if you look at all the public school shooting, it really escalated after the 1960s. And you never see any school shooting in private school, in trade school, in law school, nursing school, in charter school, in engineering school, in diesel mechanic school, in beautician school. You only see public school shooting. Why is that? What happened after the 1960s? In 1962, the Supreme Court in US, they did away with school prayer. They say it's illegal. School prayer was discontinued. Not to say that God can protect us, but the importance of prayer in school is it brings the community together, bring the kids together. It brings the principal and the teacher together. That we pray, that we ask God for the blessing on the kids, on our community. You help people feel like the little kids feel like, wow, we actually want to have this protection, that we belong to a certain group. That's why people that are religious, they have very, very much lower depression and anxiety. When people go to church, they feel like belong to a group. And nowadays, we hardly ever say, pledge out the allegiance to the flag. We start to lose the sense of patriotism. If you ask young people nowadays, more than half of them say, I will not take our arms and defend the country if we're invaded. It's because we have lost the sense of community. Why is it there's no shooting in these about trade school and in charter schools and in these about engineering schools? Because people go to these about school by choice. They have a sense of reason. I went to medical school because I want to be a doctor. You went to journalism school because you want to be a news reporter. We are all in this together. We feel this sense of community. We're bound together by this one purpose. But you don't have that in public school. In public school, especially now, right? It's godless. You don't have the patriotism. It's just a ball or loose sand. You just go there because you're being forced to go. And you get picked on if you don't belong to a certain popular group. That's why we have so much loneliness and desperations and anger against these about large public school system. So I think, and politicians, they won't talk about this because it's not a flashpoint that they can sell and escalate their political stance. But as a physician, I think that is my superpower. Is I'm able to take a look at the issue and identify the root cause and see what we can do to treat this disease. And yeah, so if I do make it to the Senate, and I'm going to bring my superpower with me, not to just tackle the tax. It's to help protect the young people, to help prevent, public school shooting in California. It's to help do away with homelessness, start giving homeless people money. We need to rehab their drug habit. We had to make sure that we enforce laws. If they commit something that's criminal, they had to pay for the crime, right? Not to release prisoners and criminal to the community.
Yeah, a lot of people just feel the California's a supermajority of the Democrats really, whatever they wanted to pass, they can pass it. Like you said, the socialism policies. Right now, it seems Republicans are just powerless because of that. So,
Well, yeah, if you have any GOP representative, which I know some of them are Asian, I think they should listen to me. I'm sorry to say that California GOP is very weak. California GOP can be strong. You could have to support the right candidate. Okay, do not pick and endorse candidate that's going to sway with the wind. And I've been told by many, many politicians in California that I have to run because many GOP supporter candidate will not stand and will not fight. They will sway with the wind. So again, as a physician, I see the root cause of this disease, the root cause of why there's such a strong Democrat majority. Because right now, majority of the community in any type of society, 80% of the people will go with whichever party was scream and yell the loudest. Right now in California, it's the left. The right has basically given up. We have rolled over and say and play dead and say, please don't hurt me. We cannot do that. We had to be even stronger. And sometimes we had to yell even louder. And you heard me spoke at the Capitol.
Yes.
You probably see my video at the LA Defeat the Mandate event.
I was there actually.
Yeah. Oh, you were there? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you heard me talk.
Truckers, Californians, American, welcome to California. This is Sacramento, the root cause of our issues. Our enemies, be it foreign and domestic, have brought us down to our knees without firing a single shot. We have bowed to socialism. So I'm gonna run as a state senator. I'm gonna take on the fight to Sacramento. I am going to restore your right, and I am going to protect your liberty. Thank you very much.
So I can scream very, very loud. I can yell, but to a reasonable degree. We should not be screaming and yelling like a little child. I just want to get things done our way. I was screaming, and I always tell people, if you know me, if you come to me for asking for help, be it a patient, be it someone from the community, you're going to find I'm the kindest and the gentlest person you'll ever meet. But if you're going to trample on this nation's right, if you're going to destroy the Constitution, if you're going to destroy the liberty, you're going to find that I am the toughest SOB you'll ever meet. Because I will not back down. Okay? That's the person I am. That I can be kind and gentle and helpful. But if you're here to harm my community and my family, you pick the wrong person to go up against. So I have that drive, I have that dedication, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have in our society is people are so afraid to speak up and really share with what's on their mind, what's on their chest without saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to offend this group of people. I don't want to offend that group of people. I don't want to say something that's going to put my medical career, political career in jeopardy. So I put out a post yesterday on Instagram. I said the best way to honor our veteran is to make sure that this is still the land of the free, and this is still the home of the brave, because this is what they have fought and given their life. And that's the way that we can really honor our veteran.
Yeah. California went from a red state to now a Democratic Party supermajority. So, Dr. Huang, what do you think is the root cause?
Look at my example as a physician. How many doctors have stepped up and treat? Zero. Why is it? Because they're afraid to lose their job. They're afraid to lose their 401k. Why is it? It's because their responsibility, they feel like what's most important for them is their paycheck. A politician's responsibility is you and I, they represent us. But now it's special interests. I went to the Capitol that day, you and I met with a truckers convoy. I walked past a high-end restaurant, all glass restaurant. And inside of the restaurant, there's all the suits. People dress up really, really sharp. Everybody got a mask on. There's a couple of CHP officers outside. I looked inside and I'm like, what's going on in there? And I recognized a couple of politicians and with all the lobbyists. So when was the last time you saw your local politician actually came to your establishment and talked to you? Like, hey, what are the concerns that you have for your community? You never see that. Right? So their priority has really strayed. So a physician's priority should be you, the patient. So that's my priority when I treat my patient. When they walk in the door, even if it's the first time I treat them, they are my priority. So I don't care what the state says and what they threaten me. They're going to take my license away. They're going to shut down my door. If someone comes in with a cut on their hand, I'll sew it up. Someone come in with pneumonia, I'll treat them. Someone come in with COVID, I'll help them. So I think they don't have their priorities straight. That's the reason why they will sway with the wind. Whichever the wind is going to take them to protect their job, protect their 401k, protect their retirement. It's not just the politician. If you look at the Uvalde police, they sit outside with all that bulletproof vests and their high-power rifle. They did not go in there and protect these helpless little kids. Why? It's because they're afraid. They are literally afraid. Some of the police actually went in and got their own children out. That's what I heard. Oh my gosh, I mean, I think it's we really need to examine us as a nation. If we don't do our job and we just kind of worry about our own behind, be a policeman and sheriff, be a lawyer, a politician, and doctor, innocent people is going to get hurt. If I did not step up and treat my patient, there'll be thousands of COVID patients dead. And there will be thousands and thousands. I protect over 3,000 high-paying jobs in America in the past year alone. That's over $1 billion of salary and benefit I protected. That's just one person doing their job. That's me doing my job. So I think the reason why it doesn't matter whether you're Asian, African American, Caucasian. We really need to look at ourselves in the mirror. It's like, who am I? And the president of the United States, who do I really represent? And a news reporter, who do I really represent? What do I really want to convey? Do I want to convey the truth? Or do I just want to sell a headline? Right? Some type of things I can, sell clicks. Right? If I'm a physician, am I just kind of worry about selling a drug that my drug rep brought to me and gave me a bunch of movie tickets? I think once we realize what your priority is as your profession, if we truly do that job and do that job well, I think we'll have a much better nation, much stronger nation.
Dr. Huang, like you mentioned, it reminds us of Cultural Revolution under Chinese communists. It's like you cannot speak up your mind, otherwise you get into trouble. But in America, more and more, especially in California, we see that just like you described.
So as you understand the Cultural Revolution, there are certain things that you're not allowed to say.
Yeah.
You got to have the quote unquote political correctness. If you dare to say anything, the student is going to put the professor to jail, right?
Yeah.
the nurses is going to put the doctors to jail, or the kids is going to report the parents. You have the neighborhood watch. Right now, the neighborhood watch and all those things, the tall hat that people wear with the things that they committed, right? It's all on the internet, right? It's the cancel culture. It comes in many, many different forms. It's all the same crap. So when you are afraid to speak, that's when you give up your right that's guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Doesn't matter if you're born in China, I'm born in Taiwan, or someone else born in Detroit, Michigan. Every one of us, when we're born, we're all born with a natural right that people are not supposed to hurt us. That if we don't like something, that we should be able to speak freely. That we should have the right to a safe environment to live in. This is called a natural right. That natural right in America is guaranteed by the Constitution, guaranteed by the Bill of Rights. That's hundreds of years of trial from the English common law. So the founders of America had took those laws and said, that's the best law we're going to use to guarantee the natural right for the American colonists. And now, when was the last time that you have seen in public school or private school, any school, teaching teaching civics, right? Teaching Constitution, teaching us about Bill of Rights? That's not taught anymore. So
when you came, were you taught on that?
Oh yeah, when I was over at Canada, I still remember every morning we have a prayer. Every morning we sing "O Canada." We learn about the Constitution of Canadian Constitution, which is very similar to American Constitution. So I remember that. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So in America, we're afraid to speak up now. It's because we're not taught that we have this Constitution, Bill of Rights that can protect freedom of speech. So we're not taught that. And the left, the extreme left, are screaming so loud that you basically get threatened. You feel afraid. You feel scared. If you were to take basically Ronald Reagan, you take him back and say, take a look at the state you were governor of California. You were U.S. president. Take a look at what's going on. He will be so angry with us. He said, what are we doing? He has worked all his life, even though he's an actor. He wants to have small government. He wants to make sure that we understand the Bill of Rights, the Constitution that will protect it, freedom of speech. And we're basically just throwing everything away. So we all have that choice. We can basically live like American, or we can get rid of the white strap and paint it all red and put a little yellow star on it, right? So it is our destiny. It is for us to decide what we want to do.
Great. Any last comment, things you'd like to share?
I always like to give this example. When I was growing up in Taiwan, once again to junior high, there are a lot of gangs. They like to come around and stab us with a sharp ruler. And when it came to me, to my class, no one dared to stand up to them. They will come in a gang of 10. If you don't let them stab you and whatever they want to do to torture you, they would literally stab you with a real knife. And I stood up and said, you cannot do this to us. And I pushed them away. They said, how dare you to do this? Don't you know who I am? We're the local gang. I'm like, really? Just to let you know, my dad is in the military. He's the local brigade colonel. He is in command of 5,000 strong, highly trained soldier. If you mess with me, you mess with my dad and all the soldier that he commands. Okay, and they will really find you and they will put you in your proper place. When they heard that, they never came back and bothered us. So I used that example.
You were strong when you were young.
Oh yeah, I did not back down. I hate bullies. I like to protect my friends. They know that. And the youngest of three older sisters. So when boys used to follow them home and harass them, I would literally run out with a long bamboo stick and drive them away when I was like only 4 years old. My sister always laughed and liked to share that story. So I like to use that example. Once I make it to the Senate, every Californian will be the soldier that's going to back me. These politicians are going to stab me, want to hurt me with their sharp rulers and harass me just like gangs. But once they know that I had the backing of hundreds, if not millions of Californians that want to protect your liberty, want to protect your freedom, they will back off because they know that I am backed by a tremendous, a very strong force that they cannot harass us like gangs. So I'm counting on every Californian to not just backing me, backing any assemblymen, legislators, and city councils, be it Democrat or Republican, that want to protect your liberty and want to protect your freedom of speech, that we should back these type of politicians. So it's very important that we should have a very, very strong force. Because right now we don't have that representations, right? The politician only answer to special interests. But actually the people of California are actually the strongest force. And we need to wake everybody up and utilize that. So that's the thing that I want to share with every one of your listeners, that we have to have something organized and support the politician that's going to defend our freedom and liberty. So in about a week, we'll know whether I'll make it through the primary, and I hope that I will. And I hope that I'll have the opportunity to represent the state. So once I get into the Senate, I'm just not just going to stay in this area. I'm going to be coming to the Bay Area. I'll be coming to Northern California. I'll be going down to Southern California. I'm going to basically get to know and link up Californians that want to protect our rights. So I'll be very, very vocal, and you can support me. A donation, we need tons of donation. I have spent all the funds that we raise in the past 2 and 3 months. We need more money. We still need to give a last push. So go to Huang Senate, Huang, Senate.com, and donate.
Thank you, Dr. Huang. Yeah, good to have you.
Okay. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you, and I really enjoy that. And support me any way you can at huangsenate.com. And hopefully you'll see me in Sacramento comes next year.
All right, so that's Dr. Michael Huang. What do you think? Will he be able to shake up Sacramento and California? So let's see some of your comments. I love to see all of your comments. I love reading them, and so it's just such a joy, to see your thoughts and your perspectives. So I saw here, Maria, you said, I will vote for you. I'm a white, middle-aged Aryan female and would vote for you tomorrow. We are all Americans when we think like you. Wow, so we do have voters in this for this district. So Maria. And Charles said, I won't be voting as I live in Texas. If I were in Sacramento, I would vote for you, Dr. Huang. Wow. And waiting for daybreak, you said that, yeah, I wish more Californians can hear this and vote candidates who have sense like him. Okay. And also, out on a limb saying, oh, this doctor has a heart and a brain, both a heart and a brain. Okay, and the child said, very, very smart, very good superpower. Doctors are great at diagnosing root cause. Wow, so you do agree with Dr. Huang's, his ability of diagnosing the root cause. I'm curious about how do you think of his reasoning of the mass shooting in the public schools. So when I heard his perspective, actually, it's quite, I think it's quite unique. And I would like to do more research on this, but just wonder how you think of his saying the public school, because of one reason is because of in the 1960s, they got rid of the prayers in school, which made the public school, the students, less can be really having a unified force. So how do you think? And the less safe in that regard. And wait for daybreak, you said California has become so liberal and terrible, hard on people and business, but easy on criminals. I think a lot of Californians would agree with that, no matter which party you belong to. Larry said, compared to Missouri, California is already a socialist state. Well, Dr. Huang certainly thinks like that. And Larry also said, most lifelong politicians are so busy stuffing our money in their pockets, they don't have time to hear the truth. That's unfortunate, but like Dr. Huang, he wants to, he really spoke up, trying to shake up Sacramento to make them realize, right? You cannot just only be a career politician. You represent people. You have to work for people. And Charles says something interesting. KGB infiltrated our country to destroy our belief in our country. Communists want to destroy our religion. Well, certainly I think the communists really, one big trait of communists is they are atheist, and that they see people who have faith the biggest threat. That's why, since the takeover of the power in China, the communists again, crack down on people who have religious belief, from those monks, right, the temples, the churches, and most recently, in the past 23 years, the people who practice Falun Gong, which is, rooted in the traditional Chinese culture, and also, really without any culture boundaries, which has spread over to, over 100 countries around the world. But the Chinese communist sees people who have such faith, people who hold truthfulness, compassion, tolerance as their principle, as their biggest enemy. So I think, Charles, you got that right, totally. And Kitty Hawk, you said talk about eloquence with spice. I think you're complimenting Dr. Huang, right? And Charles, you said, I will say this, we will win arguments if we talk like this, factual and respectful. All right. And one thing Dr. Huang really touched upon is the fear, how not be able to speak our minds really is one of the root cause. So out on a limb said, fear is what they want. It stops positive progress and keeps people in bondage. Heartbreaking to watch this happening in America and anywhere in any country. That's so true. In coming from communist China, we just, one thing when like Cathy and before we came to this country, one thing, a lot of people in China like us, they really admire people in the United States, is that they are able to say anything in their mind. And we never thought it will come to this stage in the United States that people are so, watching what they say, and sometimes this will lead to what? It will lead to people will watch what they think. So that's what the totalitarian regime wants. That's what communists want. So they just, they scare you. They make you watch your mouth, what you speak. And the next step is they want make you to watch out what you think. So you know what that leads to. So, Kitty Hawk, you said it's almost June 4th. Please never forget the peace and the courage, the hearts and the love. The people, June 4th, prayer for China to overcome the oppression of the CCP. God bless you. Thank you, Kitty Hawk. Yes, so today, it's 2 days away from June 4th anniversary. This year is the 33rd anniversary. So we will have a special report on Friday for you. So it's very special day, and I think it's not only for China, for people, for the Hong Kongers who really lost their freedom, and for Taiwanese people, mostly for Chinese people, but also for Americans, because more and more people are realizing the threat of the communist China. It's really like the blind lawyer Chen Guangcheng. He emphasized, again and again, the Chinese Communist Party is the most threat to the whole world. So June 4th anniversary is the time to remind people again. And more comments here. I can't, unfortunately cannot go through all of them, but really appreciate you share your thoughts on the issue we talk about, and of course any other issues like, and let's see. I want to read Alexandro's comment. You patriots must protect each other. Truth and trust are your most valuable assets now, my friends. Yes, and I would say, people like you, people like Dr. Huang, you are all the greatest asset for this great country because of people like Dr. Huang, who is, has the courage to step up and speak out, and people like you always constantly seeking for truth. That's why I think there's hope for this country, and that's why we believe the communism won't be able to take over our country as long as we keep speaking up and speaking out and seeking for truth. All right, so and Charles, like Charles said, everyone has been great on the chat. Yes, really, really excited to see to read all your comments. And some of them I will read afterwards, after the show. So I think that's it for today. Really appreciate it's our, not a regular day for the show, but when I decided to try out to see whether we can use this way to make a more like a daily show for you, so that we can, make this channel grow and make more people to know about truth. So anything, if you can help to spread our channel, grow our channel, really appreciate it. All right, so take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Bye-bye.
Is a ballot cast in an envelope better than cast in person? What happens once a ballot is mailed back or dropped in the drop box? The core of our election system is to have ballots correctly reflect the wishes of the voter. Only then can we ensure consent of the governed. Learn how ballots are counted and why it is critically important to cast your ballot in person at a vote center. Search Happy Goose on Rumble and watch illustrated videos. Your vote is important. Make sure it counts.